up, me and Kim have a wonderful chat about her nonprofit organization, Hello Gorgeous. Absolutely fun, insightful things. I learned a lot about her. We had a pre-meet too. A main reason I'm saying this, I wanted to give you guys a heads up. If you believe in what she's saying, and you definitely make it to the end, look her up on Instagram and follow her, because she tells us halfway through she has a potential of doing a TV show and like reaching more people and helping out, but she doesn't have the biggest of followings. So every follow matters. Just go over there, follow her, maybe shoot her a comment or a hey, Josh sent me or something. Just, she's an awesome lady and deserves the best. Let's get right into this.
So I'm grateful for that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it was good. Yeah, it was good.
So any fun stuff for the weekend?
Yes, actually. So I have one child and he's 20 and he is a sophomore at the University of Marian University down in Indianapolis.
Okay.
And that's about 2.5 hours south of me. And it's family kind of parent weekend this weekend. It's homecoming. And so tomorrow morning I'm going to get up and we're going to go down, and my sister and brother-in-law and their 2 kids and my mom are going to come down with us. And it's supposed to be beautiful here, not a cloud in the sky, like sunny and 70, like your absolute perfect weather. So
that is perfect.
They have this really cool tent thing and it's at the end zone and they have a lot of activities and stuff on campus. So yeah, so we're going to do that this weekend. So I'll be in Indy. So I'm excited about that.
That sounds like so much fun.
It is. Well, and you know what? His 4 years of high school went so fast, and I have a feeling that the 4 years of college are going to go fast too. And so I'm grateful to have the opportunity to participate in all of these things, because I know at some point in time I'm not going to have them anymore. So, you know, just trying to get all of that in. So.
Oh, I've noticed that too. The time picking up. I'm like 29, going on 30, and I was just talking to one of my coworkers. Because I do like futures trading on the side. And I was like, oh yeah, back in like March. He's like, March was like a couple months ago. And I'm like, yeah, we were like in June. He's like, no, we're in October. I'm like, oh shit.
I know. It's so and the older that you get, I will tell you, because I'm a little older than you are, but the older that you get, the faster time goes. And so just be prepared for that as well. So yeah, it's interesting.
Because he's younger. He's like 21. It's funny. He's like 21 telling a 29 going on 30-year-old what to do. And I'm like, dude.
Yeah, come on.
But I told him, like, dude, I heard this all the time when I was your age, but it's so real now. Like, time will just suddenly disappear on you. And you're going to be like, it was March. Oh, wait, we're in like October now.
I know. When Seth started high school, that's what everybody had said to me too. They're like, oh, the high school years go so fast. And I didn't think so. My husband passed away in June, and then Seth started high school in August. And so, I just didn't know how it would go. And, being a single parent now, and I thought for sure it was going to drag. And you know what? It didn't. It is so true that those high school years went so fast. And so, you just gotta hang on to them while you can, because you don't know how long, and you always think that I'm going to remember the really cool thing that happened today. And then tomorrow something else happens that was really cool. And then you forget about the really cool thing that happened yesterday because you're on to the next thing, and so you just kind of have to grab all those memories that you can while you can grab them. So it makes a difference.
Take as many photos, do as many fun events as possible.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So how's things going with you in Hello Gorgeous since we last chatted?
It's good. Okay. Yeah, it's really good. So we got it all of a sudden. I just feel like all the floodgates have opened. Okay. And so we're making like this tremendous progress. So I have a podcast as well. And the podcast is called Hello Gorgeous, Everything Beauty, Cancer, and Inspiration. So it's a lot of things on, different things that either cancer survivors or people that support cancer survivors can really gain a lot of information from. And I think it was a month ago that my producer had emailed me and said that our downloads increased by 700%.
So
and then 2 weeks later, I know. And then 2 weeks later, she sent me another email and said that they increased by another 200%. And so like all of a sudden, we're like getting all of this momentum on our podcast, which is incredible. And then my dream has always been to have a television show.
Okay.
And it's, we deal with some amazing women, what they go through with their cancer journey, and the number of women that have gotten divorced and still kept going, and the single mothers that are there. And there's so many amazing stories to tell. And it's just a source of inspiration. And so we've been working on this for about 12 years to really try and get something going. Well, all of a sudden, the director now has a sizzle reel, and they're going to start pitching us to networks. And so that's like taken off. And then we're putting a salon inside of our office, because we have a lot of women that reach out to us that need a wig. And in order to give them a wig, a lot of times we have to shave their head. And so, we just kind of do it in the large room in our office instead of having an intimate space for her. And so it's been a dream for about 8 years to have, it's called Kim's Closet. And it's just this elegant, like, salon, complete with a chandelier. Like every salon needs to have a chandelier. I know.
Can you shave my head?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to. You have beautiful hair.
Oh, thank you.
And so we're really close. Like this week, the floor was installed and the doors were installed and it's painted. And so like all of a sudden, so we're so blessed, because it's just amazing. We just feel like it was nothing for so long. And all of a sudden it's like, boom, now it just kind of happened. So it's been pretty cool. It's been pretty cool.
Awesome. Yeah. I was talking to this one podcast guy. He was just before you the last time we chatted.
Yes.
And that's the one thing he told me. He's like, I was doing this for 5 years. He's like, I didn't know. He's like, I refined it better. And he's like, suddenly when I refined it, he's like, it took off. And he's like, now I hope I can remember the day.
Yes, no kidding. And I remember what you did. And I think that's it. I think it's just repetition. I think it's repetition is the mother of invention. I think that's the saying. And so I believe that when you do things, sometimes you just have to do them over and over and over again. And finding out what doesn't work is just as important as finding out what does work. And so it's being able to take that and even just do like a 2 millimeter shift to be able to get you to that next level, whatever that looks like. So it's been cool. We before COVID hit, we have a salon affiliate program. Mm-hmm. So I knew that there was no way to get to all of the women that we wanted to serve, just me. And so I needed an army of individuals that had a heart as big as mine, and that was hairdressers. So we came up with a salon affiliate program. So we actually go and train salons how to create the Hello Gorgeous experience. Mm-hmm. And they now commit to doing one makeover a month on women in their community. And so when we first started, you start with one and then you kind of build. And so right at the crux of COVID, right at the beginning, we had 33 salon affiliates in 15 states. And so it was awesome because it was pretty much one makeover a month was happening somewhere in the United States. And then COVID happens and the salons shut down and the world kind of stops. And so because of that, it ended up that we had to pivot. So we started doing virtual makeovers. So we now have a system that we can do that actually provides a makeover for a woman battling cancer, but it takes place in the comfort of her own home. So we send her a box, and then I created a video that shows her how to use everything in that box. And it shows her how to draw on her eyebrows and counteract the effects of steroids, all those things. And so we're still working to kind of build back up. So even though the virtual stuff is still going on, we've not really, we've not delved back into the whole thing with the affiliate program yet. So we're really hoping that we can get more and more salons to sign up, because it was really a wonderful way to help women with cancer all over the country.
That it is. That salon thing. I'm just trying to sit here, imagine as if I'm a woman. I'm like, okay, as long as the video is good, I think I could do my makeup.
Yes. Well, and that was really great, because what happened was, and it, I think it's different strokes for different folks, right? So there are some women that really enjoyed the opportunity to be pampered because that's not something they ever had done. But then you had women that didn't really want to be pampered. They just want to know how to do it. And so that's just it. The virtual makeover we were able to send to them, and the video, they were able to do it themselves. They could stop the video and replay it. And that was great. But there were other women then that wanted the full pampering experience. So they could go to a salon and walk in, and somebody was doing it to them, not them doing it to themselves. So I think it is just a matter of, what you're looking for and how can we support that.
That's awesome. Yeah. They give multiple avenues now to reach them.
Exactly. And I think that's it, because it's just like we've got a couple of books. So the first book that we wrote was called Hello Gorgeous, A Journey of Faith, Hope, and Love. And the second book is called I Promise to Put My Lipstick On When I Get There. It's the Red Carpet Guide to Staying Gorgeous Through Your Cancer Journey. And so, we did that. And then we did videos to kind of complement that, because what we found is that people learn differently. And chemo brain is a real thing. And so a lot of times when you get chemotherapy, you have what they call like a brain fog. And so it ended up that, if they would read the same sentence over and over and over again, but it didn't make any sense to them as to what they were reading. And so when they were read to, or if they saw it on video, something that was just, me speaking over a PowerPoint, it seemed like it resonated with them more so than if they were just trying to do it on their own. So it's been really interesting.
I did not know that fact about chemo brain. That's interesting. My first thought, because I got COVID, I'm like, is it like COVID brain? Kind of like COVID brain fog, but there's probably way different though.
Yes, I think I believe that it is. You have to remember, you're putting this chemical inside your body, and it's altering, or it's killing off cells. And chemo, that's the thing, right? And it doesn't kill brain cells, so don't hear that. But chemo can't differentiate between the good cells and the bad cells. And chemo is meant to kill all fast-growing cells. And so that's why you lose your hair, and it can affect your fingernails. You lose your eyebrows and your nose hairs because of that fact, because the chemo kills all the fast-growing cells.
Wow. Again, another one. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's intense though. Like if it's killing fast growing cells, there's a lot of important organisms within you that could get potentially shut down.
Right. And so that's why they do so much. Like I know a lot of women will have chemo one day and then they have to go in for a shot. I believe it's called Neulasta. And what it does is it helps the production of white blood cells. And so that way, then even though they're doing the chemo, they're doing other things to counteract that, to make sure that those systems that need to be producing what they need to be producing are doing it to help you heal faster.
Wow. So then I'm taking it with the cancer and the chemo. Both he or she would be, the immunity would be compromised, and like you said, the white cell would be down, and that's actually kind of important because white cells is what help fights it.
That's right.
But, so then is there lingering damage after chemo, like maybe your white blood cells can't fully recover or something like that?
Not necessarily through the white blood cells, but there have been long-lasting effects. I know that there are women that talk about neuropathy, which is numbness in your hands and your feet. And so that can come from chemo. I know that women's hearts are tested, and so that chemotherapy can cause heart damage. And so you just, you have to weigh it. They can figure out what to do with the heart damage, but if you're not here because the cancer killed you, you know what I mean? And so there are just times where you just have to take the good with the bad. And so it's not all bad, but there are some things. Yes, there are some long-lasting effects of that. Yes. Wow.
I mean, I've talked to a few like cancer. I had the unfortunate event. Well, not unfortunate for me. This one young guy had cancer at like 16.
Oh.
And it was, he had a very dark sense of humor to make everyone feel better. But at a certain point, that's where I asked him, like, does it actually hurt? And he's like, my blood feels like it's on fire when I get chemo.
Wow.
And I was like, that would suck.
Mm-hmm. Well, and and it was really interesting. So my sister had cancer, and 10 years ago now, and I went to several of her chemotherapy treatments. And you just don't go and sit in a chair and they give you chemo. They give you a bolus of fluid, and then they give you something for anti-nausea, and then they give you steroids, and there's all of these things. So you could be there 8 hours, but only getting the chemotherapy for an hour. And so, I think that there is a lot of different things that they do try, and medicine has come so far, even with those kind of things where they work on trying to get you something that would help counteract some of those effects or some of those things. And so it's interesting, the drugs that they have now, the different remedies that they have to help cure cancer, we didn't even have 10 years ago.
Right.
And so, even they talk about like the life, people are living longer with cancer, more so than they did a long time ago because of the advancements that they've made in the medical industry. But also, I think that even counteracting the effects of some of the medications, they've done a really good job with that too. I don't know that they ever did that, even 10 years ago, give you something like, give you a bolus of medication to make sure that all of the things that we're going to do, we're going to try and build you up as much as we can before we start to bring that back in again.
If they did, it was super expensive and only the upper echelon could afford it.
Yes. Yeah. But I think too, it's just the advancements, in a lot of the medical stuff. I really do believe that that's huge.
Yeah. It is impressive how far, especially with like CRISPR, how far we've gone with everything.
I agree.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'm going to keep that or not. I love the energy. Can we get a little about you, and I'll add an intro?
Sure. What would you like to know? Just how I got started, or?
Yeah, the up and coming story. We were chatting last time about your salon and all that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So, I was a hairdresser, and I actually went to beauty school because I wanted to go to law school. Years ago when I graduated from high school, my parents, there wasn't anything as, like a 529 plan. And so my parents said, if you want to go to law school, you want to go to college, you're on your own. And so I had started working at a tanning salon, and the girls at the tanning salon said, this would be a really good way for you to go to law school. They said, if you decided to go to beauty school, you could get your license, and then you could actually cut the hair of everybody that was on your dorm floor. And it would be a great way for you to be able to, to pay your way through law school without ever having to work like a fast food restaurant or whatever. And I'm like, that's amazing. That's such a great idea. So I went to beauty school with the intention of going to law school, and I never made it to law school. And so I ended up just cutting hair. And so I loved it. I love the I'm a very artistic person. And so I love the whole artsy thing. And so it was good for me to be in it. So I knew that when I was in beauty school, I always wanted to open a salon. And I remember talking to my late husband about it. And really, this was all his idea. So when I had said to him that I wanted to open a salon, he said to me, I have the perfect name for the salon. He said, we should call it Hello Gorgeous. And I said, that's the stupidest name I've ever heard. And he said, no, it'll be really great, because every time you answer the phone, you get to say, hello, gorgeous, and it'll make people smile on the other end. And I said, yeah, it's stupid. We're not doing it. I had traveled for a company, a natural nail care company, and had the opportunity to visit a salon down in Southern Illinois. And it was a very French flair, and they served cheesecake and champagne to all of their salon guests. And I knew that when I opened a salon, that was the caliber of salon that I wanted. And the name of that salon was called Shavu. And so I knew that I was opening a salon, and this was the name of the salon. And so when Mike came up with this other name, I'm like, we're not doing that. I've already got this figured out. So we opened a salon. We called it Shavu Professional Hair Design, and we opened it and had it for 10 years. And I'm not one to sit still. And so every year at the new year, we were always remodeling. We were always transforming the salon. And so when we bought the salon, we had 4 tanning beds and 2 hair stations. And then that Christmas, we added 2 hair stations. So we had 4 and 4. And then one by one, we would take the the tanning beds out, and we'd add an aesthetics area or a nail area. It was just constant. It was a constant change. And what I realized is that there was something that was missing. And I didn't know what that something was. So I thought that every time we remodeled the salon, that would help fulfill whatever that thing was that I was missing, but it didn't. It didn't make that go away. So we actually went from 1,000 square feet to 3,000 square feet. So we tripled our size. And I thought that's what we needed to do, is it needed to be bigger. Well, that emptiness was still there that I was feeling. I didn't know what it was. So I started working on me. So I went to all of these places, and I studied at Hair Color USA in Miami, and I went to Pivot Point in Chicago. And one of my big dreams was to study at Vidal Sassoon in London. And again, I thought that would take away that emptiness that I was feeling. And when it didn't, I thought, man, what is it? And I would have these conversations with Mike on a regular basis, and I would tell him, I know there's something more that we should be doing. I know there's something more out there for us. I don't know what it is, but I know that we need to be doing more. And so we were on a trip back from Indianapolis. This was about 17 years ago now. And our son was asleep in the back seat, and we were having this conversation. I know there's something more we should be doing. I know there's something more. And all of a sudden it fell on my heart. And I said, I got it. I know what we need to do. I said, we need to have a mobile day spa that caters to cancer patients. We need to have this beautiful, elegant palace on wheels that'll show up just a few feet from her door and make her feel like a queen for a day during a time where she doesn't feel very special. Now, if any of your listeners are business owners, hopefully they've experienced what I've experienced, which is a fallacy that people think that just because you own a salon, you're like filthy rich. People think that you make $5,000 or $6,000 in a day and you take that big wad of cash and you put it in your pocket and you live this luxurious lifestyle. And that can't be further from the truth. Every time we'd get a little money built up, the water heater would go out or the furnace would stop working or there was some sort of a tax that we had to pay that we didn't remember about. And so we couldn't get ahead. And so I'm pitching this idea to Mike. And at that point in time, like he's ready. Whatever we needed to do to get out of the salon, he's ready because he's tired of, trying to patch all this stuff together. So I'm telling this my idea about this, beautiful mobile day spa. And I looked at him and I said, and you know what, Mike, we're going to do it for free. And I watched all the color run out of his face. And he said to me, how are we going to do this? And I'm like, I don't know. I just know that this is what we're supposed to do. And so him being the husband that he was, and he was always my executioner. I was always the visionary. I was always the one that would come up with the idea. And he was always the one that would figure out how to make it happen. So we stopped at a Books A Million in Kokomo, Indiana, and he went in and he bought me every book he could find. Free money for women, grant writing for dummies, grant writing for women. And he came back to the car and I was so excited. I kept telling him about this dream that I had and, how great this was going to be. And, I watched his ears slam shut and he didn't want to hear anything, but I didn't care. It was really cool to talk to him in the car because he couldn't escape. So I just kept biling it off. I just kept telling him the story. So our son was 3. He ends up waking up. We get to like a McDonald's play area and we're getting he was ready to get out of the car. So whatever I wanted. So we got out of the car. And as we're walking in, now 10 years had passed from the time we opened the salon to this point in time. And as we're walking into this McDonald's play area, I grabbed a hold of Mike's arm and I said, you know what, Mike, this is supposed to be called Hello Gorgeous. I said, the salon was never meant to be called Hello Gorgeous. This is supposed to be called Hello Gorgeous because that's how these women deserve to be greeted. And so it took him a really long time. Every time I brought the subject up, he changed the subject. He couldn't figure out how this would happen, all these things. And it ended up that about 6 months later, he knew I wasn't going to give up. And so he jumped on board and it was an amazing journey. And I think what we realized more than anything through these transformations that we would grant for these women battling cancer was these women changed us more than we could have ever changed them. It was life-changing experiences on both sides. People don't understand. My husband was sick for a long time, and there'd be many times where he'd be in a hospital bed and he'd be hooked up to IVs, and his phone would ring, and it never failed. He would always answer the phone. Hello, gorgeous. This is Mike. How can I help you? And people just didn't understand. They didn't know where he was, but he loved Hello Gorgeous. He loved the makeovers. His favorite thing to do was I'd always invite him in while we were doing the makeover because I had a team with me. And I'd say, do you want to come in and see her? He's like, nope, I want to be surprised like everybody else. So he wanted to see the transformation that took inside. And his favorite thing to do whenever he got to do it was to escort her into the family and friends, the party that we had for her afterwards. That was his favorite thing to do, was to be his escort as we took her back in to reintroduce her with her new look so that she could celebrate with her family and friends. So as much as this was a calling for me, it's now a legacy for Mike as well. He absolutely positively loved Hello Gorgeous.
Oh yeah. He sounds like he was like the backbone. You were the one, like the front man, getting all the people's attention, and he was the one executing everything for you, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and what was really cool, so fun story. So okay. Mike graduated from Purdue University with a degree in pre-Columbian archaeology. Okay. And he always wanted to make history. That was always his dream. He said, I want to make history. He goes, I want to go on a dig and I want to make a big find and I want him to write me up in the history books. Like, I want to go down making history and something like that. And he never went on a big dig. And so therefore didn't ever make a big find. But the really great thing is, a month after Mike died, our Congresswoman, Jackie Walorski, honored Mike's life on the congressional floor. And so Mike made history. He actually went down in the record books of our country for the work that he did with Hello Gorgeous.
In the end, he got what he wanted.
In the end, he got what he wanted, not the way he thought he would get it, but in the way he made history. Yep, he got to make history. It was very cool.
That's awesome. No, that gave you chills right there. That's cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. And I had no clue. I didn't know she was doing it. So it was on a newscast. And one of my team members texted me and she's like, hey, did you just see what Jackie did for Mike? And I'm like, no. And so I went on YouTube and Googled YouTube, and there she was honoring his life and his life's work on the congressional floor. And so the proclamation that we have, I have it hung in my office. But yeah, it was pretty cool. So he got to make history. It was really neat.
It was someone it was either Mark Twain or something. I was reading a book and they said usually when you make the most difference is when you don't get to see it, kind of thing.
Right. That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So that's interesting. That's cool. I didn't hear that last time we chatted.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is too, after Mike passed away, I designed his headstone. And so one of the things that I did was I had the logo put on his headstone. So there's a big Hello Gorgeous logo. So I thought, his whole thing was to make sure that people could see Hello Gorgeous, or they could hear Hello Gorgeous, and they could smile. And so I thought, what a greater way to honor him is that being in a place in a cemetery where people don't normally smile, that we were able to put that on there. So hopefully people will walk through, and that when they read that, it brings a smile to their face. So.
Or someone like me who doesn't know context looks at it like, who's Hello Gorgeous?
Right. Right. I hope it's not that, but it very well could be.
That happened to me once. I was going to visit my grandmother, and it was one of those, I'm walking, and it was a young kid. It was like, I think it was she got to like 3 years old, but it said Hoppin', but it was Bunii. And I was like, Hoppin' Bunny?
Yeah, when you read it, sometimes you interpret it the way your brain knows to interpret it. So,
well, and that's where then someone, one of the workers he came by, he's like, oh, no, it's more of an Armenian. He's got to roll the I's harder. I'm like, oh, okay, now I get it.
Got it.
But that's awesome. And then you did you put his logo, the ring with his initials in it, on there too?
No, not that. We didn't come up with that until afterwards. And so that goes on all the shirts. And that was really a cool story too. So, it has a religious connotation because it's got Psalm 139:14 on it. So we had a logo designed. It's kind of a Celtic ring with Mike's initials in it, in the middle of it, MB. And then around it, it has I am fearfully and wonderfully made, which is Psalm 139:14. That was his favorite verse. And so on all of our shirts and hoodies and all those kind of things, we have that on there. Well, I had gone down to certify a salon affiliate down in San Antonio, and it was huge. Like I was certifying like 60 some people. Oh. And these individuals, these stylists and technicians, beauty technicians, were going back into their salons, and they were going to help us create the Hello Gorgeous experiences in their community. And I always like to give them a t-shirt as a thank you. And hairdressers love the color black. So we had these black t-shirts done. Well, some of them had Mike's logo on them and some of them didn't, because I wanted to be respectful. I thought if somebody didn't want that Psalm 139:14 on there, I didn't want them. Everybody wanted that. And I ended up bringing all the ones that didn't have his logo on there. I brought all of those back and had the logo added to those. And so now every piece of merchandise that we have somewhere, whether it's on the arm, on the sleeve, or on the back, right at the neck, they all have Mike's logo on it in order to honor him. So it was pretty cool. I was honored that people wanted the shirts that had his logo on it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those she showed me last time. It is.
Yes.
It is. It's it looks, I want to say with the best perspective, kind of like a Lord of the Rings Elvish around it.
Yeah.
And then the writing, and then the cool, like medieval, but not medieval lettering. Yeah. It would. And I was just sat there, and she told me last time, because I guess your son got the tattoo of it, right?
He did. That was, we were never big in tattoos. Like I don't have a tattoo, and Mike and I really weren't big into that. But when our son said that was the tattoo, he's talked about that for probably 4 years now. And so when he talked about getting that, I was like, oh, I don't know. But you know what? When it's that meaningful, it meant a lot to him. And so I was really glad that he got that. So yeah, our son has that tattoo on his arm.
But that was the one thing I told her before she told me that whole story was, I'm like, that would be a cool tattoo.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. It was a cool tattoo. It looks good on my son. Yeah,
it does. That's awesome. So then I take it with your husband, with the death, What else happened during that year?
So, 2017 was a really tough year for us. So I had decided that I wanted, I knew the mobile day spa that I wanted. And I knew that I wanted it to be I knew that I wanted it to be this mobile palace on wheels and a very elegant. And when we first got the mobile day spa, we bought the first one, paid cash for it, had it retrofitted into a salon. So they pulled the kitchen out, they pulled the bedroom out, they put like a spa area and then like a styling area in the back. Well, over time, the bus it was quite experienced, let's just say. And she was having problems with leaks. And even though she didn't have a lot of miles on her, she was just aging. And so I remember one night that I read the book called Circle Maker by Mark Batterson. And Mark Batterson talked about circling God's promises in prayer. And so I remember it was a snowy night and my husband, Mike, said, come on, we got to go. And I'm like, where are we going? It's snowing outside. I don't want to go anywhere. He's like, yep, we're going. So we grabbed the Bible, grabbed our son, and we went out to my mom's house, pitch black out at night. And we walked around the bus and we prayed over it and just said, you know what, God, this is your dream, not mine. You know, you got to figure out how to work this out. She's falling apart. What do you want done? Blah, 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 blah. So fast forward, then we ended up that somebody from LinkedIn had reached out to me. They'd seen my profile and had seen that we had a bus on the profile. And he wanted to know if we still had her. And I said, we did. And he said, you know, how's she doing? And I said, well, she's experienced, you know, she's got some challenges. And he said, okay, well, my name is Matt and I'm a plant manager at Monaco Coach and I want to see if I can help you. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. That'd be great. So Monaco Coach is a trailer manufacturer. So Mike and I sent him all the information, didn't hear anything. A couple months go by and all of a sudden it was announced that Monaco Coach was closing. And so I was like, oh, man, we got to start over again. You know, there isn't anything we could do. What ended up that the next day, Matt reached out to me. We reached out to Matt and he reached out to me and he said, hey, your timing couldn't be more impeccable. He said, can I come out and see the bus? And I said, yeah, absolutely. So he comes out, we parked it at my mom's and I took him on a tour, showed him inside, outside. They were on the roof and underneath and we're inside the mobile day spa. And he said, okay, tell me what you think. And I said, you know what? I really don't have a vision for this. I said, my vision is for the project. My vision is to help these women, you know, 900,000 women a year. That's who I want to help. I said, I really don't have a vision for this. I said, but if I had my druthers, I'd love this to have slide outs so that when the woman is by herself, you know, she's not by herself, she's got family and friends in here. He's like, yeah, I can't put slide outs in here. And I'm like, okay, you asked me, I'm just telling you. I said, you know what? There are two things that I don't want to have moved. I said, on the front of the bus, it says, look what the Lord has done. And in the back of the bus, there's this really cool mirror on a hydraulic lift. You push the button and the mirror comes up. You push the button and the mirror comes back down. I said, really, those two are the only two things I don't want to have disturbed. Other than that, I really don't care what you do. He's like, okay. So we go outside and another gentleman grabbed me and he said, you know, what are you thinking about the outside of the bus? And I said, well, you know what? Elizabeth Arden has her red door. I think I need my red bus. And so we went outside and we talked and they asked when we needed it again and we didn't need it anytime soon. And they said, can we take it today? And I said, well, sure. So they took the bus. And they made no promises, but I told them my dream. I talked about this for years. I thought, how cool would it be if somebody kidnapped my bus and did a makeover on the bus? And I was able to kidnap a woman on the from a trailer manufacturer and do a makeover on her. And then they would do a reveal on my bus and I would do a reveal on the woman and everybody would be happy. And that's what happened. So it ended up that they took the bus and there was a woman that happened to be an employee of Monaco Coach that was battling cancer, I think, for the third time. And so we made all the arrangements. So we actually drove a limousine on the production floor. We went in and we kidnapped her off the production floor, put her in a limo and took her to a salon in Elkhart. And my late husband was like, my gosh, Kim, he said, you looked like you were kidnapping her for money. He said, you went so fast with her. And I'm like, well, yeah, I got work I got to do. We got to go. So we took her to a salon in Elkhart and we did a complete makeover on her. Manicure, pedicure, facial. She got a new outfit. She had a wig. She was stunning. She looked 15 years younger and she just looked absolutely gorgeous. So we drive her back in the limo. We get back to the plant where everything is at. There's an audience of 500 people that are there. And so we get to reveal her on stage in front of these 500 people and they all say, hello, gorgeous, blah, 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 blah. And out she comes. We show her before and after picture. And, it was amazing, the transformation that happened. It was incredible. So they said, okay, now we've got a surprise for you. And so they're like, say hello, gorgeous, one more time. And they took this brown paper down, and there was my bus, and they completely revamped it. It was red. They stripped it all the way down to the chassis and built it from the chassis back up. New walls, new ceiling, new floors, new air conditioner. I mean, new everything. It was incredible. It was beautiful. And so I got off stage, and I went in, and I was looking around, and I was trying to take it all in. And Matt, the gentleman that had helped us, kept rushing me back out on stage. And I'm like, Matt, I want to take this. It's beautiful. These people did such an amazing job. He's like, you got to get back on stage. You got to get back on stage. I'm like, okay. He's like, you can look at it later. So I got back on stage, and Matt starts it on another spiel. And he said, you know what, Kim, I don't believe it's fate that brought you here. I believe it's faith. And I believe it's faith that keeps you going. And I believe it's faith. Oh, well, let me back up. So the red bus that I just came out of, they named her Hope. Okay. They said, because they believe it's hope that I give to these women. So then he goes into the whole thing about, I don't believe it's fate that brought you here. I believe it's faith, and faith that keeps you going. He said, as a matter of fact, we'd like to introduce you to faith. And in rolls this $250,000 vehicle that was my true palace on wheels. It had 4 slide outs. It had 4 flat screen TVs. It had a stackable washer and dryer. It had ceramic tile floors. It had granite countertops. I mean, it was beautiful. It was absolutely positively incredible. And it was a diesel pusher. So it was a one that we could have taken all over the country in order to be able to help more women. And Mike and I were speechless. We couldn't say anything. Well, the part of the story that gets me every time is that Monaco Coach was going out of business, and that was their last day as Monaco Coach. And every single individual, those 500 people that sat in that audience, punched out for the last time, and they were all unemployed. But my buses were the project that they worked on the last 3 weeks that they were in production, that they were employed. So the little bus, which I still have, if you open up all the cabinet doors, it's all filled with signatures of every single person that worked on that project. So that was in 2013. So fast forward to 2017, Mike's health is declining, although we don't know how fast or, what it's declining to. And it ended up that we take the big bus, the new one, to a hair show in New York. New York City gets shut down by a blizzard. Drive the bus home. It was having some electrical issues. We were going to have it looked at. Monday night, we unload it during an executive team meeting from all the stuff from the hair show, books, T-shirts, all that kind of thing. We drive it out to my mom's. We leave it sit. Tuesday night, we have a volunteer meeting, and we just get home from the volunteer meeting. We're changing in our pajamas. My mom calls me. She's hysterical. She's screaming into the phone, and she's like, the bus is on fire. And I'm like, what? She's like, the bus is on fire. And I'm like, okay. And I hear somebody in the background go, it'll be okay. And I hear my mom go, it won't be okay. And so I'm like, Mike's like, what's going on? I'm like, my mom's saying the bus is on fire. I'm like, we better get dressed and go out there and take a look at it. So it ends up that we go out to my mom's, and there's my dream. And there are flames shooting out of the back of it. And there are firemen that are using pickaxes to get in the door and to crush the windshield. And it was a total loss. We have no idea what caused it, but we lost it. So in April, we lost the mobile day spa, and in June, I lost Mike. So 2017 was a really tough year, but as a person and as an organization, we have perseverance. And so we are still here. We learn the lessons along the way that we've learned. And, because of all the lessons that we have learned, we're stronger, and we just keep moving forward. So there's a really cool video. If you go on YouTube and you search Monaco Coach and Hello Gorgeous, there's about a 6-minute video there that shows you that whole transformation from taking the one bus and the reveal of her and the reveal of the buses. And it's a pretty cool video to watch. So
I'll see if I can get it and put it in the description for everyone.
Okay, that'd be great.
That's awesome. So then, that ball buster of two terrible events that happened in 1 year. So how did you, but also the company cope with that loss? Because he was a major player of the Hello Gorgeous experience.
I tried to teach my son a lesson. And I had to live it as an example in order to teach it to him. And that is, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. And so what I feel that I did really well through my time as a widow and is now the sole leader of this organization was I stayed on course. All the things that Mike and I talked about for our son, all the things that Mike and I talked about for the organization, I just kept going. And there was a time where they were getting ready to airlift him to Indianapolis, and he was in and out of lucidness. I lost him to septic shock. And he was in and out of lucidness. And at one point in time, he grabbed a hold of my hands and he said to me, "You have to keep going. You have to keep going." And I said, "I will. We're going to get you through this. And I will. I'll keep going." And so, and so I did. And so I think that it was that. I think it was the promise of that. I think my big win was that I just took on a two-prong approach. I knew I couldn't do everything, and I couldn't do everything well. So I had to come up with the two most important things and then just do those. So one was to make sure that our son had a stellar high school career. That's because he was just getting ready to start high school. And the other one was to keep the organization going. So I think I would say for probably the first 4.5 years, it was just a matter of just making sure we could hold our own. We not necessarily grow, not do anything, but just solidify that foundation that we had in order to be able to build upon. And so then these last couple of years, that's what we've been able to do is just, add the virtual makeovers, create some more online. We have an online course, an online membership, those kind of things to help really intensify that with the opportunity to be able to help more women.
Wow. Yeah. I just to add on to what you were saying earlier, I think when your husband was going in and out, he knew, like, if he didn't tell you to continue on, he's like, he knew you would fall apart. He was just thinking about it.
Yes. And I didn't know what that meant. Of course I agreed to of course we're going to keep going. I had no understanding of the fact that he meant that I would have to keep going without him. In spite of what was going to happen, I still had to keep going. And so, of course, I made that promise. And so you don't back down on a promise. So I did. I just kept going.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was in Turkey on a cruise, my sister went to a carpet rug place, and the long story short with that, but essentially, the guy made a promise to my sister because he gave her all this stuff for free because he's like, she's a pastor and a minister and all that.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he's like, he's these nomads in Turkey. He believes in them. So he paid them like $60,000 to help him out for that painting. And he said, "I'm just giving it to you. It feels right." And then right. And I'm just sitting here and I'm telling I'm like, okay. They were showing me photos. They're like, "Oh, yeah, and he's going to come out in January." And he made a promise. And he said his rule for promise is either pretty much layman version. If you make a promise, there's only two reasons to not do it. Either you're dead or you're a coward.
Wow.
And I was like,
that's awesome. I love it.
And I was just like, yeah, that's a good one. So that's where, he's coming out in early January this next year.
Wow. And that's cool. That's very cool.
But yeah, to tie that back to your promise, it seems like you have a very similar mindset as him.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, just to make the impression on my son, I really do try and live by example. And so, I had to keep going through those challenges because I needed to make sure that my son saw me persevering to keep going through those challenges as well, so that he knew when he came up against a challenge, he didn't quit. He didn't give up. He just kept going. So I think that was really important.
It is. It's a very important thing to instill. And it seems like a lot of parents take the easy way out when it comes to stuff like that.
Agreed.
I'm just curious, do we have a hard stop at 12?
Whatever you got.
Okay. I always say I can keep going, but it seems like we're hitting a good point. Is there anything in particular I might have missed that you'd like to go over?
No, just where people can find us. And that is our website is hellogorgeous.org. If anybody wants to personally email me, you can email me at kbecker@hellogorgeous.org. If anyone has a family member that is going through cancer right now, we've got some great free resources on our website. And I also created a membership site. It's called the Gorgeous Toolbox. And if you go on and use the words free trial, all one word, you can get a month free inside our membership site. So that's for anyone that's ever heard the words "you have cancer." You can go on and get the information inside that toolbox.
That's fabulous. That's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been an amazing chat with you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me to share my story. I hope I just get the opportunity to inspire one person that will go out and do something that sounds ridiculous, but they know that it's in their heart and they know that that's what they're supposed to do, and that you just keep following that prompting and it'll all work out. So
it will. Yeah, I'm sure that's why you're having so much momentum right now. It's just, you're just inspiring so many people.
I hope so. I hope so. I hope so.
Well, congratulations. You made it to the end. You're an awesome person. Not many make it here. So, being the awesome person that you are, can you do me one more awesome favor? Can you rate and review this on whatever podcast services you're using? If you do it on Apple and you leave an actual written review, I have a thing on my website. I will take your written review and post it for all to see. Congratulations. You're permanently sealed on my site. Otherwise, I am trying to do YouTube more and live streaming. I will try to put as many of the YouTube links in the description of the show as I can. So give your boy some extra help over on YouTube. Watch my videos. I just mute it and change the channel, change the window or something. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for being awesome, and see you next time.